Hello, welcome to Raider Reach. This is the podcast where we reach out to our school community and beyond to share the inspiring story of our Raiders. From the classrooms to the extracurriculars, let's explore the people, events, and the moments that make our district unique. Thank you for joining us today. Let's dive on in and tell our Raider story. My name is Megan Hogg, and I am the District Director of Communication, which means that I get to be the moderator here on Raider Reach. This is our district's audio podcast. It's pretty much a weekly thing, and we are in season 2 of our Raider Reach podcasts. So we have been really taking a good dive on into some specific areas that people may not know a lot about, but would like to know more. And one of those things, no pun intended, knowing more, is what our guest today is going to be sharing about. And our guest is Jana Moore. So that's why I said that. But Jana, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm super excited Jana's here. Jana, and I've known you for a while because you were in different campuses before you came over to Central Office to do what you do now.
Yes.
And you might kind of talk about that a little bit. But Jana is such an asset to our district in so many ways. So I'm super excited that she's here today to talk about what she gets to do and who she gets to interact with and what that looks like. So before we get started on that, let's learn a little bit about Jana. So Jana, tell us a little bit about your journey, maybe from high school to where you are now.
Okay. Well, right out of high school, I took cosmetology in high school, was going to be a hairdresser, and I was probably for 13 years.
Okay, wow.
Until we started our family. My husband grew up in Lumberton.
Okay.
And says this is God's country. And so he moved me here. But I quit cutting hair, going to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I had 2 beautiful babies. I had twins and
A boy and a girl.
A boy and a girl. And so when they started school in Lumberton, of course, I fell in love. Like so many parents, I fell in love with the EC. I'm up there, as a parent, volunteer, PTO, and then, like so many, you're up there all the time, and they say, well, if you're up here all the time, why don't you work here? So I started subbing, and that was the beginning.
I love that. So that opened the door for other opportunities. So what did you start doing when you started with the district? What was your first job?
First job, I was an office aide, office/nurse's aide at the early childhood.
Okay.
And I did that for a couple of years. That was great. Experienced all different kinds of things, between diabetic training, hearing and vision, being able to do all that. That was really neat. Then I followed Miss Waldrop when she went from the early childhood. She was the AP there, went to the primary.
Okay.
And I became her secretary.
Okay, so the principal secretary at primary?
Yes.
Awesome. And then that's when you first started interacting with our substitute teachers more, right?
Yes, definitely. I still have many of them in my phone from calling them in the morning, asking them to come in.
Yep.
I was definitely known for if I had parent substitutes, I would catch them in the drive-up line and tell them to come on in because I needed them. And so I definitely saw the need. And then later, I was approached to come interview when there was an opening in HR at Central Office.
Okay. How long were you at the primary school?
Gosh, 5-6 years maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty good chunk of time.
Yes.
And then how long have you been in the position you're in now?
Probably about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is your title? Like, what is your email signature? What is your title?
I am HR specialist.
Okay.
And substitute
Coordinator?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's one of, our HR team is pretty much made of 3 people.
3 people now.
So you have Anna Miller, who's our assistant superintendent in charge of HR and student services. And then you have you.
Yes.
And then Jamie Janusa kind of splits her job between
HR
the business
and payroll. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So awesome. And you guys have a good team, and y'all are always looking for fun ways to interact and reward our staff, and a part of that for you also includes our substitutes.
Yes.
So if you didn't know, a sub coordinator, which is what Jana kind of does, let me start over. So for people who aren't familiar with the school district, what does a sub coordinator do on that part of your job, and why is that role so critical in our school district?
Well, I recruit subs. I'm always trying to recruit them, make them feel comfortable, and help a lot of people just realize there is a position. You don't have to have a history or background in education to find a spot. But I think my main thing is by working with the subs, I can keep teachers in the classroom doing what they do. Not just with the subs, but things happen. Life happens with their
People
children.
have babies, or
They get
people
sick.
get sick.
They're
Yes.
out with training. I mean, we have a lot of training and professional education that goes on. So if I can keep
Another good adult that's never going to be the same as the teacher, but as best as we can get in there, that's trained and confident, and that's what our goal is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you do a lot of interaction also with our campus secretaries,
Yes, I
because
do.
they're like the front lines on each campus with those subs, like you were at the primary school, right?
Absolutely. And so if I can help them find out what their needs are, like recently of talking to a couple of secretaries, and they said Mondays are hard. So I'm pushing out maybe some incentives for subs to maybe work on Mondays a little more. And so
And when we had Fridays, it was Fridays.
it was
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah. So we're always trying to look for fun ways. And we get our community involved. We have some really great partners in the community businesses that will donate maybe a gift card to their establishment or something like that, where we can reward. Like, you can do those fun drawings and games with the subs at work.
Absolutely. We have gift cards from some of the local businesses. They donate them, and I'll do maybe a drawing, a 10 to win. If you work 10 or more days in a month, your name goes into a drawing. We're just doing, our child nutrition department is great. Sometimes we'll offer free lunch on Fridays or different things. Anything to keep the subs excited, acknowledge them who works the most in a month. Just anything to keep them engaged.
And they're valued, so they're valued.
They are definitely valued, and they become permanent fixtures and on the campuses. Sometimes I think the campuses forget, oh, that's not a permanent staff. That is
I know,
sub.
because some of these subs are there so much that they become part of that staff family.
They do, and they find their home. There's many that are still subbing that were subbing when I was on the campus.
Yeah.
And
They like that flexibility to be able to say they can't work today and it'd be okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And but there's no pressure. If they decide they want to take a day, they don't have to worry about
Putting in for a sub.
putting in for a sub. Who's going to fill that?
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. So your mornings sometimes can be a little hectic if you're talking to those campus secretaries and they're running short. You're trying to help them problem solve. Maybe you've been there before, but we have some really great campus secretaries that are really good working with their administrative team on each campus to try to fill those spots. But we're always glad when we can get new subs in and get them trained. So let's talk a little bit about that.
okay.
First of all, what are the qualifications to be a substitute in Lumberton ISD?
Really, the two main requirements is one is to have a high school diploma.
Okay.
Or the equivalent, and two is just to love kids. Because it is flexible, we will train you. I encourage people to, we ask that you do observation hours. That's part of the training, because we want you to be on the campus, observing a teacher, being able to ask questions, and we want you to take the time you need doing those observation hours, whatever it makes to make you feel confident and comfortable going into the class.
And you know what to expect.
You know what
Yeah.
to expect. And I'll tell people, observe on a couple of different campuses because they're all great, but they're different. And you're going to find
Schedules are different. Everything's
schedules are different. And sometimes you may think, man, I love those little kids. But you get in there and you're like, wow, those middle school ones are really funny.
Yeah.
And you,
Yeah.
and you find that maybe you click in a certain place that you wouldn't have realized.
Yeah.
So spend time on the different campuses, find your niche.
And it probably helps to get familiar with those schedules at each campus because, and from a personal experience, when I moved back here to Lumberton, I moved in the middle of the year. So I was teaching in my former district, and I had to resign early. And my husband started January 1st with his job here, so I had to have something to do, that would keep me kind of in the school system for that spring semester. And so I just started subbing. I'd never been a sub before. I'd only just taught and then been a student before that, right?
Right.
So that was a really valuable experience because I was able to see what it was like on that side of things. But it also gave me the freedom, like you said, to try something different because at that point, all I had taught was middle school and high school. So I thought maybe this is a good time for me to try out something new. Let me go and see about elementary and see what that's like. And so I was able to see, if you really love the babies and you like being with the younger kids and you're teaching them, you're helping them learn those foundational skills, their schedule's different. In first grade, for instance, in kindergarten, you're with the same group of kids all day long.
All day long.
Yeah,
transitioning.
self-contained, right? And then, so you don't have to worry about other rosters or anything else, but it could be it's a longer day sometimes or just a different kind of day. And then intermediate, you might do some switching. You have a partner teacher that you switch with during the day.
Right.
That the classes switch. And then middle school, as you get older, it becomes more. It's more like secondary. So you have 8 class periods. So you're going to have 8 rosters of
The
students
kids
coming
are
through
coming
you.
and go to. They come and go to you.
Same with high school. So it's just all a different kind of feel. And I think it's great to encourage people to try every level because you really see how you're going to fit. And there's no pressure. Like you said, you don't have that job yet where you're working on staff there to be like, I think I want to try this today. And then tomorrow I can be here. And then the next day I can do this. And that's totally fine because you're still filling a need that we have.
Absolutely. And I encourage a lot of subs that are coming, they're wanting to get into education. They're going to be a teacher. That is their plan. Well, it's great to get in there and to see because there again, you think you're going to like the littles and you realize, okay, that's not what I had in mind. And I make reference even in my sub workshop a lot of the time to, I knew a teacher that had retired and she subbed all the time at the middle school, retired from the early childhood, but was subbing it all the time. And I asked her, I said, what are you doing? And she said she had no idea she liked the older kids as much as she did, and that she would not probably have retired as soon as if she would have given that a try. And so these people that already have their degree, they're wanting their certification, and they need it in a special field or age range, this is your opportunity to see.
For me, I had already had teaching experience, but even if I had not, I did have a degree at that point. I was able to get to know the staff at each campus, and like you say, one of the biggest perks of being a sub is getting your foot in the door.
Absolutely.
So that when those jobs come open, those principals, the other teachers that they're there with you, they already know you're a trusted adult who loves kids and is willing to learn and
you show up.
You show up and
you're
do
flexible.
Your best.
Yes.
It says a lot for you in it says a lot for you as far as being able to trust you in that role as well as a teacher.
Well, and many of our campuses, they hire from our sub.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons, which it's a good thing, but that's why we're always searching for subs because we hire our subs all the time. And how many jobs do you have that opportunity that you get to go work in that position, try it out before just walking in blind one day?
Right.
So it's a great opportunity on both sides.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So let's talk a little. Okay. Actually, let's take a little break and we're going to get to know Jana a little bit with our little fun five questions that we ask. And then we'll return back to this and talk a little bit about what trainings that we can do to help our subs feel confident. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So these are 5 quick fire questions.
Ooh.
2 of them were submitted by students initially, and the first one is one that I always ask. The first one is one that I always ask our guests to kind of get a picture at their personality.
Oh, goodness.
And it is this question: what's one random object in your office that has a story behind it? You have a lot of fun things in your office.
I have so many
Jana
things.
is just a fun person. I mean, you really could stop by and come visit with her in her office one day, and there's a story behind many things in your office, I'm sure.
Everything has a story. I believe everyone has a story. Golly, there's so many. I don't know. Okay, so I'll just guess. One is, so I have probably 40 paintings on my wall from Painting with a Twist. I love doing that. Or we've done painting classes when I was on the campus as with the staff as just a project. And I have one that is a sunset and a beach scene and these trees. And but everybody else's painting was a sunset, picket fence, and like pine trees. And so mine was totally different with waves and palm tree. I don't know. It was kind of funny when everybody held their painting up at the end. Mine was totally different, and
But that's okay.
kind of like me.
that I love that about you, and the way that you see things. It might be a little
I
bit
see it
different
a little bit
through a
different.
different lens, and that's what makes you awesome. I love that. So another question I have for you is, would you say you're a morning person or a night owl?
Morning, definitely.
What time do you typically get up on work days?
About 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends, you still wake up at 6?
No, maybe 8, but
Okay.
I'm definitely 9 o'clock.
Like you feel like
I'm
your
in
day
bed.
is wasting away.
No,
at
at night.
PM.
9 o'clock.
Yeah, you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I'm staying up
Okay.
past 10, I've got to have a nap.
But you like getting an early start and getting some things done in the morning.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. No, I get that with the nap. If I'm staying out if I'm staying up past 9 o'clock, I need to have had a nap before.
is required, and that's the way I've
Yes.
always been.
Yes, I love that. Okay, what's your favorite comfort food?
I don't know. I love food.
So it doesn't take a lot to really please you, not picky?
No, I guess, just good old Mexican food.
Oh, yeah, some good chips and salsa followed by some really tasty tacos or quesadillas, enchiladas, all of it.
Yeah, that's a basic. Yep.
Love it. Okay, so, this is a good question for you, Jana. What are your hobbies outside of work? I love to hear your stories.
Well, I participate in a local Renaissance fair, and I dress like a pirate, and and I help advertise and do promotional videos
Yes.
for them. So
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, I wasn't as familiar with that, the fair that you participate in.
yes,
Most people have just heard of like the Texas Renaissance
yes,
Festival.
yes.
It's like that, but a smaller scale.
Much smaller scale.
Local.
Although I've loved Texas Renaissance, my children dressed up and went from the time they were born. And yeah, it was definitely a family event. So, and actually still is. So,
Yeah, I love that. Okay, is there anything else do you still cut hair?
I do. My husband, I cut his
okay,
hair.
Okay.
And maybe my own. And my daughter. My son, no.
He did.
He's done.
He's too picky.
Yeah, well, no, he just, he wants it right then. And he's not going to wait. And
Oh, okay.
I'm like, go.
Okay. Yeah. I get you. All right. So, last question is, what is your favorite place you've traveled to? I'll ask you that one first, and then there's a second part to it. So, what's your favorite place you've traveled to?
I have to say my favorite was St. Croix.
Oh, yeah.
And that was with the Kimbros. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
the
Yep,
Kimbrough
yep,
family.
yep.
And it was just wonderful.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful island.
And you love the beach, right?
I love the beach, and they had a house. We were able to stay there and just travel, but it was all more like local type things, not real touristy.
Yeah, love that.
And that's what I like. I like off the beaten path.
Yeah. Okay, so now where would you like to travel to next? You have some, well, let's just say if money or time was not an issue.
Okay. Because I'm thinking realistic or way out there.
Galveston, I guess we'll do realistically.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, realistically, I am an old movie buff and a huge Turner Classic fan. So I think, of course, Ireland I would love, but everything I do, it would be like based on this movie or that setting. But I would love to go to all the good Hollywood stuff, and they have a Turner Classic Film Festival, and
That's so cool. I didn't know that they had all that.
they do.
Yeah.
They even have a cruise.
Something about those classic shows and movies. Yeah. Just seems like there was a little bit more. I don't know. It was like idyllic, I guess.
Everybody lived happily ever after.
Yeah, I do love that part too.
And of course, just breaking out into song and dance at any given moment.
Yes, that's so normal for that.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that too. Okay, let's jump back into it. So, you talked about how to be a sub in Lumberton ISD, you just have to have a high school diploma or an equivalent, and you have to love kids. And I like something that you've said before is we can work with you and teach you and coach you up on all the things about teaching and managing kids, classroom management, whatever it may be. But loving kids, if you don't really like being around kids, it's not for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because you have to have that, because you know they're not always going to be angels.
No, and some of them that are the hardest to love probably need it the most.
That's right. So then, if they have those qualifications, then what can they do next? What do they need to look for on our website, maybe?
Well, the first thing is fill out the application on the website. Then when I have a date scheduled for upcoming workshops or when one's drawing near, I will email out that they can register to attend. I believe even I have those dates available now. If they went to register, they can go in and choose one that works best for them. Then once that's done and they attend the workshop, I send them the information. We have to get them fingerprinted. There's a background check.
Yeah, so that's part of the safety aspect.
Absolutely.
Right?
And my goal is to do all the background checks and the fingerprint request before the workshop so that when they leave at the end of the workshop, the ball's in their court. They're not waiting on me to do anything. They go get their fingerprints. Once I get confirmation that they've been fingerprinted, they get to go to the campuses, schedule observation times. The whole process can take maybe a week. It can take a little bit less. It just depends on how ready someone is to get started.
And how much time they have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love that. And explain to us we talked a little bit about that fingerprinting is like a safety aspect. What is that process like? What does that look like?
Well, this may be a little too much, but to me, it's a real interesting little circle, the way it works. I do the background check through DPS, and if that is good, I request fingerprints through TEA. I receive an email then, like with Megan Hogg, I would receive your fingerprint information or request through Identigo.
Okay.
I would forward that to you. You would set up the appointment with Identigo. You would go get your fingerprints done.
And there's different places like in Beaumont?
There's a place in Beaumont. I believe we have Jasper. There's even a place in Groves. You get to choose your date and time of when you want to go. But then usually the next day, I receive confirmation from DPS. And if I go back into TEA website and look, I will see that it's been completed. But all those systems all connect and talk. And
that's just a protection for our children and keeping them safe.
Absolutely. And also, when I go request those fingerprints, there is a do not hire database.
Okay.
So that if someone has some type of record.
or history, yeah, it would show you then, and we would know that's where the process stops. for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that is done. That process is actually done with every employee we have.
Right. And I think that's important for people to know. It's not just our hired staff that's permanent. Our substitutes, custodians, everybody has to go through that
Yes.
same process. If they are going to be in contact with children
On the
regularly,
campus,
yeah, they are
yes.
going to have to go through those processes, and that's just to keep our kids safe.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, all right. So then you go to your work. You do the fingerprints after the workshop.
After the workshop.
So what does the workshop kind of look like, and how long does that take? The
Oh,
workshop.
it's about 3 hours, and we go through the hiring process. We
Okay.
go through what it looks like and the paperwork and the different things. Then we go into actual ideas about classroom management. We've got some great videos that we play with some of our veteran teachers, asking great questions and telling the reasons why they think you should choose their campus. There's some ideas about classroom management or potentially behaviors. One thing that's really good is our teachers are there to help. You always, when you go into a classroom to substitute for the day, you always have a neighbor teacher you can ask for help. They want to help you because chances are they teach those students too. They're the partner teacher, but they want to make it as good as they can for their friend that is out. They don't want them having to come
back and clean up a big mess.
Absolutely, absolutely. And many times, and I tell my potential subs, it's kind of like when I did hair and building a clientele. You'll find that before you know it, the teachers are calling you. I would have many times a teacher would come say, "Hey, who is the sub down the hall for Miss Smith today? She is killing it. Can she sub for me next Wednesday?" It doesn't take long, and the campuses are calling you. The teachers have your number, and so and I tell them, promote yourself. If you're in a class, leave your name, leave your number. Say, "Hey,
I'd love to come back.
I'd love to come back.
Love being in your class today.
Let me know. The kids
Yeah.
are great."
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And as a teacher and an administrator, it's not something you see all the time, but that would set them apart. I've even had people have cards made, and you don't
Yes.
have to do that, and they would leave a little note, and say, "Hey, call me anytime."
Nope, we've
And-
had that happen. Yep.
And a lot of people don't know maybe that there's a little even more flexibility. Sometimes they're half-day subs that we need.
Sure, there
So
absolutely
morning
is.
or afternoon subs. So sometimes we have people that will fill those gaps if they know that they maybe can't get the whole day because they might have a doctor's appointment or some other commitment. They can give a half day. There's that as well.
Absolutely, and then we know at the beginning of the year when trainings are, especially with all the athletic events, because we have all our coaches out. There's UIL. There's so many activities, which is fantastic for our district and our students, but that's still just more spots that we need covered. But we have those entered way in advance. Now, of course, morning of, there's a lot of jobs that go unfilled because if a teacher, her child's getting sick in the middle of the night. So I advise too, get up in the morning, call that campus. If you know that secretary, call them and say, "Hey, do you need me? Were you able to cover that position?" Because sometimes they have to shuffle around their staff to make things work.
To
They
fill
have
those
to.
spots.
Yes, because when a spot is not filled, there's definitely there's a need. There's a need. We need those subs.
Right. And then also we want to make sure people know it's not just teaching positions that have subs. You alluded to this earlier, but child nutrition needs substitute.
Absolutely. Child
Cooks
nutrition.
and servers.
They do. And I'll tell you, and that's another one. Child nutrition, she hires from her sub pool.
Oh, okay.
And so, everybody laughs at me that about finding the right seat on the bus, but I believe, and sometimes whether it is a bus driver, a bus monitor, child nutrition, custodians,
all those day-to-day jobs, when they're out, they have to have someone covering them, because if they don't, then the school's not going to function like it needs to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the teachers are, of course, on the they're right there, boots on the ground, but it is a full
It's a full team effort.
Absolutely. It is a full team effort.
So the substitute role has really evolved over the past few years. I've heard some other districts, they even want to elevate it a little bit more and call them guest teachers, different things like that. How are expectations of a substitute different now than they used to be?
Well, I remember being a kid and the knowing that when you saw that big cart with the TV rolling in, that you had a sub that day, and or the projector, and that you were watching a film, and that was what you were going to do that day. Times have changed. These kids are so smart, and the things that they're teaching them,
They can't miss a day of instruction.
they cannot miss a day of instruction. So that is, hopefully there's plans laid out so that the kids are not missing a step. They're not missing a day of instruction.
Right. Especially with our long-term subs. And what makes a long-term sub? What is they're out more than how many days? Is there a number? Or?
Well, we actually have, I mean, you could have a long-term job, maybe 2 weeks or a month, but we do have long-term pay, and that is when you've been in a job on that 21st day.
Okay.
And that is for the same teacher, especially when it's maternity or something like that, particularly, but you would, on the 21st day, get a bump in pay.
Okay.
So
and I would say our pay structure is pretty competitive to what we see in the districts like us around in our area.
Yes.
And you do make a little bit more a day if you have teaching experience or if you have a degree.
Yes, we have 3 levels of pay. We have non-degreed, degreed, and certified teacher pay.
Okay.
Now, also something that we have rolled out a few years ago, and I love seeing people participate in, is a 90-day bump in pay. Because, so in the state of Texas, a teacher or any school district employee has to work 90 days to get that year of service, that credit on their service record. So we applied that to our substitutes because we know we have subs on the campus that much. So kind of to give them their own little earning power, I guess you could say. But once they put in 90 days, they will get a bump in pay. And that's not one particular job, one particular campus, or consecutive days. That could be any position for a teacher, for an aide. And once they get 90 days, if they're non-degreed, they would bump to degreed pay. And when they're on the campus that much, they deserve every bit of it.
Right.
So.
Right. And you would be shocked to know how many teachers, administrators, district employees we have that started out as a sub.
Many.
And then now they that kind of opened the door for them to move up and gain experience. And some of them have become veteran teachers, distinguished educators.
Absolutely, because I think so many people do start off like me as a mom. You want to be on your kid's schedule. You want to be flexible. That is your goal. And they become classroom paras, and then they realize, hey, I can do this too. And they are in there, and the teachers depend on them, and they become great teachers.
Right.
I mean, we see it, and it's fantastic.
Right. And I mean, I'm definitely one of those people that started out as a sub here in the district, and then had some doors open for me, and so that I will say every day that they're very much valued, needed, and it is a really great way to get your foot in the door. So one more thing, I know, Jana, you're really, your heart is for these substitute teachers to reach out if they ever need more training or support, because you want to make sure that they feel confident and comfortable in the classroom.
Absolutely.
And reach out to the other people on their campus, partner with them. We're always, when we do new teacher training, we're letting them know how they need to be there for those substitute teachers and check in on them as well, because it can be a little bit scary when you're coming in and you don't know these kids. And you remember how you were in school when a sub was there and you thought you could trick them or pull one over on them. And it's not as easy to do that nowadays.
No.
But it does make you a little bit nervous, and so just giving those people that confidence is really important to you.
Well, it is, and we hold every summer. I hold at least 2 returning sub workshops,
Okay.
and that gives me an idea who I can expect that will be returning, and an opportunity to share any changes in the district.
Okay.
Maybe to do the last few years we've extended our safety and security, whether it's stop the bleed, our craze training. Our substitutes are trained very well
Oh yeah.
in every aspect.
And they are given the confidence to be able to respond in an emergency situation.
Yes,
Now we've done a
yes.
lot of work in the last even few years in that area to make sure that they feel comfortable and competent to help out and to know what to do if there was an emergency situation too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I am just so grateful that you gave today your time to come and talk to us about
Thank
subs.
you.
This is not all Jana does, but it's a big part of her job, and she takes it super seriously and is very passionate about that. So I would say if you're a business that wants to help, donate any kind of door prizes that we can give to our substitute teachers for teaching a certain amount of days, we'll give you a shout out
Absolutely.
on social media for that. If you are someone who's been wondering if education is what your next venture is, then this is a really great way to see what that's like, and we would love to get you connected to what our district has in the Raider family. So,
Absolutely. We have another substitute workshop scheduled for this summer. That way parents can, because parents are great
Yeah.
subs. And so get started. So be ready to get rolling when school starts.
Yep, because we'll need them as soon
We
as
will
school
need 'em.
starts. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate what you do every day. You're
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank
You're a
you.
bright light and a ray of sunshine, so I appreciate you. All right, well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Raider Reach. We hope you enjoyed hearing the stories that make our district and community so special. Remember, it's all about making an impact in our classrooms, our lives, and the world. And you can find us on all podcast platforms, so be sure to subscribe and share this episode with others in our community. Join us next time as we continue to reach out and share more Raider stories. But until then, let's stay connected, stay inspired, and let's keep making an impact. Bye.
Bye.